Hello, friends, and welcome into today's Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey, joined by my box of beer from Tavor. We'll tell you all about Tavor throughout today's show, but if you want your own custom box of craft beer from breweries all throughout the country, go to Tavor.com and use promo code CHATSPORTS for $10 off your first purchase. A little bit different show today, no rumors. Instead, we'll start things off with some training camp takeaways from the Dallas Cowboys. We'll start on defense. Byron Jones has been thriving at cornerback. He has looked fantastic so far. He is in prime now to have a breakout year under new defensive backs coach and almost the co-defensive coordinator Kris Richard at this point, based on the way the Cowboys defense is running. Byron Jones has looked fantastic so far. He has been one of the biggest winners so far from training camp. He looks like a natural at cornerback. I've been very pleased with how well Byron Jones has played. Maybe he can be a true number one cornerback for the Dallas Cowboys. Either way, I think that Byron Jones is primed for a breakout year. And overall, this young secondary has looked very, very good in year one under Kris Richard. That was a positive. A negative was Dak Prescott, so he's been a little bit inconsistent. The numbers, pure completion percentage-wise, are pretty good. It's winning 72% of his passes in the 8 padded practices so far. But the big issue is the chemistry is clearly not there. Now, on one hand, that's really not a huge surprise. Hurns is a brand new receiver. Michael Gallup is a brand new receiver. Deontay Thompson, Tavon Austin, Noah Brown. These are, less so Noah Brown, but those are all mostly new receivers. A brand new tight end core with 9 career combined catches there. So it's going to take time for Dak to get the chemistry down. And the deep ball has also been a bit of an issue for Prescott, which is what we knew coming out of college. So up and down overall for Dak Prescott. Too many interceptions. He is still working through the kinks of the new receiving core. That's going to take time. I'm not panicking yet, but Dak has not been super sharp, 100% accurate Dak Prescott so far. I do still think he is the Cowboys franchise quarterback. I'm not going to let the first week and a half of training camp change my mind on that, but we'll see how he continues to develop in this season because he needs to be better than what he was last year. Sticking on offense here, Rico Gathers has been a bit of a mixed bag. When he gets the chance to catch the ball, especially in the red zone, he tends to do pretty well, which is what we've known about Rico. We saw it in camp last year. We saw it in the preseason last year. The issue for Rico is that, he's a little bit slower than some of these other tight ends, but again, when the ball gets near him, those basketball skills, like Jason Garrett mentioned earlier, are very reliable and very effective. The issue is he's still learning how to actually just play football, and he is stuck behind Blake Jarwin, Jeff Swaim, and you know that Dalton Schultz is going to make that roster. So Rico's future is very much tied to whether or not the Cowboys will carry 3 tight ends or 4 tight ends. If it's just 3, Rico's not going to make this roster. If it's 4, well, then Rico ends up being safe. So let me know if you think Rico should make the 53-man roster. Give me a 1 for a yes and a 2 for a no. I like the idea of having Rico as a big-bodied red zone option. I think that's worth a roster spot, but Rico remains a work in progress in many of the facets of the game. The Cowboys might view that as a major negative for him. All right, folks, subscribe to our new Cowboys Report YouTube channel. Go to chatsports.com/CowboysTV. It'll take you right into the subscriber page. 2,000 subscribers is the next mark. We are almost there, just a couple hundred away. We'll get that very soon. So subscribe now at chatsports.com/CowboysTV. Another fan favorite name is Michael Gallup, and all in all, he kind of looks like a rookie. The flashes have definitely been there. Gallup has made some really, really great plays, has also made some poor ones. And I think at times we expect too much of a first-year wide receiver to come in and instantly be the Cowboys' number 1 wideout. I thought Gallup was a great draft pick. I like what he brings to the team, and the promise is still there. But let's not forget, this is a rookie receiver from Colorado State. He's going to need more time, especially if and when he gets matched up against those elite corners that the Cowboys will face throughout the season. So I like what Gallup has shown, but he does still need more time development before he's actually even close to a number 1 wideout. Next up is Tavon Austin. Now, his role has been heavily debated by Cowboys fans and pundits and all that kind of stuff. Oh, is he a halfback? Oh, is he a receiver? In the end, it doesn't matter. He is an athlete. He's played receiver almost exclusively during camp. Yes, he was called a web back by Stephen Jones, who all said he was going to get 12 to 24 touches a game, which is just not going to happen. I think in terms of play style, it's going to be a Lance Dunbar, Lucky Whitehead type role for Tavon Austin. Plenty of jet sweeps, plenty of screens, quick passes to get the ball in his hands and in space. Lance Dunbar was a halfback for the Cowboys, but he barely ran the football. When Tavon Austin is on the field, it's probably going to be in a passing down scenario, but you will see plenty of those jet sweeps and reverses that we saw the Cowboys run last year with Switzer and Cole and in the past Lucky Whitehead. So I'm curious to see how the Cowboys actually use Tavon Austin during games. His speed is an asset. Hopefully Scotland Henry can get the most out of Austin. Back to defense now. I mentioned this on last week's show. Antwaun Woods has made some very nice plays for the Cowboys up front, and he's competing for a roster spot at the one technique spot, but I think in reality, he's already passed Brian Price, and to an extent, Jihad Ward as well. Woods has gotten snaps ahead of Price and Ward, with Collins, of course, hurt, and David Irving suspended for the first 4 games of the season. If the season ended right now, I think, or not, if roster cuts ended right now, if they had to make the decisions there, I think that you would see Antwaun Woods make the roster. Now, when I made my negative comments about the Cowboys' defensive tackles last week, I was not talking about the entire defensive line. I have no concerns about the defensive end spot. It's DT that has me worried. I do still want some more depth and some more talent up front. I still think they're a little bit thin, but hopefully Antwaun Woods can play, even if it's only 10 to 15 snaps a game, a key role as a potential run stuffer up front. Anthony Brown is up next. He did not look good early in camp. He got beat a little bit too often. He had too many plays, but he's bounced back since. He's had several interceptions, still a little bit up and down overall. And again, all these guys that I mentioned, they are not perfect. Some make mistakes. If I talk negative, they're making plenty of good plays as well. So Brown struggled early during camp, but has really bounced back since then. Looked pretty good in the blue and white scrimmage, has made some good plays at cornerback, and he continues to work ahead of Jourdan Lewis. And it's Lewis, actually, who remains stuck behind Anthony Brown, and he is one of really the training camp losers so far because he cannot surpass Anthony Brown. Now, I don't really agree with that. If I were the Cowboys, I would have Jourdan Lewis as my nickel back, and I don't mean that as an insult to Anthony Brown, who as of right now is the number 3, but I think that Jourdan Lewis is just a better corner. Yeah, he doesn't have the height and the arm length that Chris Richard tends to like. Anthony Brown doesn't really either, even though he does fit the mold a little bit better. So with Chido Awuzie battling a little minor knee injury, it's actually Anthony Brown who's been the number 2 cornerback, Lewis the number 3. So Brown is still ahead of Jourdan Lewis. So folks, let me know, who would you rather play at cornerback? Give me an L for Jourdan Lewis and a B for Anthony Brown. I still want it to be Jourdan Lewis. I know he's undersized, but I think he brings you more in terms of potential playmaking at the cornerback spot and pass breakups as well. I would vote for Jourdan Lewis to be my number 3 cornerback. I think he would be a perfect nickel in today's NFL. The Cowboys really like Anthony Brown, though, so as of right now, Anthony Brown is your number 3 cornerback for the Dallas Cowboys. My box of beer from Tavor, including this Bison Beatbox IPA and this Vienna Lager from Fair Stay Co-op and the rest of the beers that you see here. And Tavor will hook you up as well. Go to Tavor.com and use promo code CHATSPORTS for $10 off your first purchase. They're going to start delivering to Texas this month, so sign up now to be the first to know when the beers come to Texas. All right, so Brown and Lewis and Dak and all those guys are guys that we know. Those are familiar names. We'll take a look now at 2 potentially lesser name players. How about Lance Lenoir next up? He is making the most of his reps during training camp. Remember, Terrence Williams missed time this offseason because of his broken foot. Allen Hurns has battled his own little minor injuries. So too have Deontay Thompson and Noah Brown. That has allowed Lance Lenoir to get first and second team reps, and he brings you special teams value as well. Lance Lenoir, under the radar, I think right now could surpass Noah Brown and could be that 7th or even 6th receiver that the Cowboys elect to take this year, depending on how I guess you classify Tavon Austin. So Lance Lenoir, I think, has a real chance to make the roster. Let me know what you guys think. Of course, as we mentioned, the big key for all these guys, how do they fare during the preseason? We've had pet cats before at receiver that have played well in camp and then not shown up during the actual preseason games. One more name here, Trevarius Ward. First off, elite name, and a cornerback who has really kind of turned the corner the last couple of days or so. had a bit of a rough start, and then it all kind of slowed down a little bit for him and started to click as well. Ward could legitimately make this roster as the Cowboys' number 5 cornerback. He's picked up his play during camp so far, and I think he's looked very, very solid as well. He's made some nice plays, some nice interceptions, some pass breakups. He's going to be with guys like Marquez White and Duke Thomas, Donovan Olumba as well there. I'll put Cam Kelly on the list, even though he's more of a safety right now, but we have the space, so I'll throw in Cam Kelly as an honorable mention. But I think that Travarius Ward, folks, might be the next undrafted free agent to make the Cowboys roster and even contribute as well. All right, folks, those were your Cowboys training camp takeaways. Stay tuned for tomorrow's show, and we'll come back with more Cowboys rumors as well. Next up on today's show is the most valuable offensive player for the Dallas Cowboys. We'll go from 10 to 1. One quick note here as well. We start with number 10, Tavon Austin. I'm valuing these more along the lines of, okay, not as who is the best or most talented player, who's the most important. If this guy goes down, how much trouble are the Cowboys actually in? So we'll start with Tavon at number 10 because I don't really know how exactly the Cowboys are going to use him or how much. Now, if you listen to Stephen Jones, it's 12 to 24 touches a game, which is not going to happen, I promise you that. But Austin brings you the speed that outside of Deontay Thompson, the Cowboys really lack at the receiver or even halfback spot. Austin can fly. He brings you a chess piece or at least a distraction on offense, the guy that helps take the top off the defense, or they have to pay attention to on the jet sweep. So I don't think it's going to be 12, 24 touches. It'll probably be more like 24 snaps a game for Tavon Austin, but his speed is valuable more so than a Deontay Thompson or even a Michael Gallup, who I want to see play a little bit more before I put him in this top 10 list. To number 9 now, Allen Hurns, and he got the nod over a Michael Gallup, over a Terrence Williams as well. Hurns is the closest thing the Cowboys have to your prototype number 1 wideout, and it's really not all that close in terms of play style. Hurns has ability. He can be a good receiver for you. He was that in Jacksonville, when he was healthy. And Hurns brings you that big body on the outside who can do some things for you, but I don't think he's going to be a true dynamic number 1 guy. That's why he's only number 9 on this list, but he still will be counted on as one of the Cowboys' top options this year at wide receiver. He'll put up better numbers than he did last year. It just might not be his breakout year back in 2015. Moving out to the offensive line, number 8, Connor Williams. Don't yell at me for putting a rookie on here. Sewell deserves it. I have high expectations for him this season. And most importantly, what did we see last year? Ron O'Leary is gone, and the combo of Chaz Green and Jonathan Cooper was an overall negative to the Cowboys' offensive line. The Cowboys' offensive line needs to be among the best in the NFL for it to have success, for the team to have success on offense. Williams now from left tackle at Texas is your left guard for the Cowboys. He has got to play well or at least be an above average player compared to Jonathan Cooper or a Chaz Green. So the Cowboys need Williams playing well. They need the entire offensive line playing well. That's why Sewell ranks 8th. But folks, let me know who you think the Cowboys Rookie of the Year will be. Is it Leighton Vander Esch on defense? Is it Williams or is it Michael Gallup or even somebody else? Let me know who in the comments section. To number 7 now, the guy I have as the Cowboys' top receiver on this list, Cole Beasley. Now, look, he's not going to be a 1,000-yard receiver. That's not who Cole Beasley is. But he's going to play more on the outside this year, and I think you'll see his catches go way back up after what was, frankly, a lesser year in 2017. Beasley is the guy that, as of right now, and this is how this order is based, that Dak Prescott trusts the most at wide receiver. I think he leads the Cowboys in catches again this year. He has that chemistry, that trust with Dak Prescott. If Beasley can play like he did in 2016, that's going to be a big boost for the whole Cowboys offense and for their entire team as well. So keep an eye on Beasley. The Cowboys need him playing well. To number 6 now, as we go back to the offensive line, La'el Collins. He was much better down the stretch last season. We had some issues early in the year, allowed 38 hurries, 8 hits, and 5 sacks, a little bit too high. The reality is the Cowboys are paying Collins like a top-end right tackle in the NFL, and they need him to produce like one as well. That is a big, big key for me here. I hope the Cowboys will do that this year. I think you'll see a better play from Collins. Hopefully the new O-line coach helps him as well. They needed him to be not just an average right tackle, but an above average at the minimum. I think you'll see that this year. I have high expectations this year for Collins in his second year as the Cowboys' full-time right tackle. All right, to recap that top 10, top 10, excuse me, Tavon Austin, Allen Hurns, Connor Williams, Cole Beasley, and Lael Collins. 6 through 10, if you want to throw a Gallup or a T-Will, I can listen to it. It's the top 5, I think, that are pretty much set in stone. The order of the top 5 is what's up for debate, though. Folks, subscribe to our new Cowboys Report YouTube channel at chatsports.com/CowboysTV. It'll take you right into the subscribe page. All of our great Cowboys coverage all in one spot. That is chatsports.com/CowboysTV. So those were some of your top 6, your 10 through 6, excuse me. Now into your top 5. I think the top 5 are very clear. It's the order of the offensive linemen, and Dak and Zeke that are up for debate. At number 5, I've got Zack Martin. I'll knock him down a little bit because, well, he's a guard. You can get by with lesser guard play. Even last year, the Cowboys didn't have great guard play at left guard, and they were still among the best running offenses in the entire NFL. But Zack Martin, I will maintain, is the best offensive guard in all of football, and the Cowboys' offensive success requires a productive and talented Zack Martin there at left guard, or right guard, excuse me. I think you'll see that again this year for Zack Martin. Hopefully he plays well, because if he doesn't, all of a sudden, whoa, the Cowboys just paid this guy top-end money and he had a down year. That won't happen, but I think Zack Martin will once again be an all-pro, Pro Bowl type guard. So, folks, let me know who you think the Cowboys' best offensive lineman is. And as I mentioned, top 5 up for debate, the order, but Zack Martin, Frederick, and Tyron Smith are all for debate here as well. They are all among the best in the NFL at their respective positions. On to number 4 now. Some of you guys might not like this, but I put Zeke Elliott at number 4. Couple reasons why. Yes, he is the best halfback for the Cowboys and one of the best in the NFL. But even last year, without Zeke Elliott, it was only a half-yard difference in terms of yards per carry between what Zeke put up and what the Cowboys had with Rod Smith and with Alfred Moore. So, yes, he's better, but I think we saw it at times last year. Yeah, the offense needed Zeke out there, but not as much as they needed some of the offensive linemen or their quarterback, for example. So Zeke is one of the most valuable players, and I think in terms of offensive MVP, he's going to be in the mix there for the Cowboys and the NFL this year. And yes, I do think he leads the NFL in rushing yards this year. I'm typing in why here. I just don't know if Zeke is truly a top 3 most valuable player for the Cowboys, because if he got hurt, the Cowboys could get by with a Rod Smith, a Bo Scarborough, or maybe Austin plays more in the backfield. But as for the rest of it there, I think the Cowboys still need Zeke on the field there as one of the best halfbacks. I just think there are more valuable, more important players than Ezekiel Elliott right now on this Cowboys roster. If you're a beer drinker like me, and I know you guys are, Tavor will help you discover rare craft beers from all over the country, help you curate your own collection, and deliver you a box of beer. So head to Tavor.com and use promo code CHATSPORTS for $10 off your first purchase. Texas delivery is coming this month, so sign up now. I put Dak Prescott here at number 3 on my list because what happens if he goes down? The Cowboys are in real trouble, correct? Cooper Rush, Mike White. I know there are some Cooper Rush truthers out there. Stop it. Get some help. Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Cooper Rush, and it's not even all that close, by the way. So the Cowboys need Prescott to be better this year, but he did struggle with injuries when Zeke was suspended and when Tyron Smith went down. He wasn't the same quarterback when Smith was hurt and didn't have Ezekiel Elliott. But the positional value of quarterback does matter. I almost put him at number 1. I'll put him down here at number 3 because I think, as we'll get to here in a second, you'll see why maybe other players have a bigger impact on the Cowboys' success. But, folks, let me know how many passing yards you think Dak will have this year. In the past couple of years, he's had 3,324 and 3,667. I'd say anywhere around that range is about right for Dak. He's not going to suddenly become a 5,000-yard guy. That's not what the Cowboys' offense is built on. Next up here, and this ties into the Dak Prescott portion, look at the numbers right there on your screen of how Dak Prescott played without Tyron Smith in 2017. He completed under 62% of his passes, under 900 yards, with 1 TD and 7 interceptions. Now, Cooper Rush can go do that for you. The reality is that without Tyron Smith last year, Dak Prescott was a bad quarterback. And that's because the backups were a disaster in terms of Chaz Green and Byron Jones. They were not anywhere near good enough. But Tyron Smith carries an immense amount of value to this franchise because without him, the Cowboys were wholly unprepared. The good news is they signed Cam Fleming. They'll be much better off. But if Smith continues to struggle with his back problems, I have real concerns about this Cowboys offensive line. But so far, the Cowboys have been very cautious with him during training camp. My number 1 guy will be a surprise. Travis Frederick. Now, I took the approach of Tyron Smith. The Cowboys were bad without him last year. I think if Travis Frederick went down, the Cowboys' offensive line and offense overall would take an even bigger hit. Frederick is one of the most underrated players on the Cowboys and in the NFL. What happened if Travis Frederick went down like Smith went down last year, and all of a sudden you're starting Joe Looney or Marcus Martin at center? Yeah, you go from NFL's best center to a guy in Marcus Martin who couldn't play for the Browns, and Joe Looney, who's barely played in the NFL in general. I don't mean that as a shot at Looney, but he's just nowhere near the player that Travis Frederick is. So center is the most underrated position in the entire NFL. I think that Frederick is actually the most valuable Cowboys player, even if I'm sure many of you guys won't agree with me. But just let me know what you guys think in the comment section if you're picking Zeke or Dak or Tyron or Martin or Frederick or whomever on offense. Again, we'll get to defense on tomorrow's show. So to recap here, folks, the most valuable player on the Cowboys, I ranked them as the most important if they went down with an injury. Tavon, Hurns, Sewell, Cole Beasley, and La'el Collins are your bottom 5. Then your top 5, a clear-cut top 5. You can debate me on the order if you want. Zack Martin, Zeke, Dak, Tyron Smith, and Travis Frederick as well. All right, folks, that will do it for us today. A big thank you to Tavor for sponsoring today's show. Tomorrow's program, we'll have some rumors and some most valuable defensive players. But until then, we'll see you guys next time.